Most books and stories usually start with a beginning. But I figured, with the title of this video, there aren't many people who would take advice from a beginner. So why not start with the end? After all, doesn't that look like a sweet cutting board? This may look like a simple piece of wood, but it is so much more than that. This board is the representation of Thyal's deepest, innermost feelings. But don't let the beauty of this beast distract you. It's more difficult than you might think, especially for a beginner. I guess you could call it some hard wood.
Why'd you say it like that?
Like what?
Like that. You said hard wood, with a slight pause between hard and donkey. What are you trying to imply?
Nothing. I'm just trying to tell the viewers how it is. I know firsthand just how hard this wood was.
Bro, say that one more time, and I'm gonna read
Well,
that freaking
here it is,
screen
folks.
and
How to
punch
make
you
a cutting
right
board
in that mother-
from a beginner. Naturally, one would assume a detailed step-by-step instruction would soon follow the introduction. But that would be your first mistake. And you know what they say about people who assume.
Donkey. 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 Donkey.
Moreover, if you're looking to learn a thing or two, I suggest watching closely. Try not to repeat the same mistakes Thyial made, because that list is almost as long as his... Oh, you get the point. Most of you have probably had some experience with woodworking. And you should know, most lumber you come across doesn't look like this. Rather, like Thyial is currently doing, most lumber you find has round, obscure edges, knots, and full of imperfections that need to be stripped away to a workable amount. This is where the jointer comes in. Let's try that again. This is where the jointer comes in. That's right. For those of you that are following along at home, you can now whip out your $1,900 Grizzly jointer. And make sure to keep your wallet open, because this is only the first of many large tools every beginning woodworker should have. When milling lumber, there is a 3-step process to ensuring a nice square board. Well, 4 in Thyal's case. That extra step is what he just did on the jointer. He had to trim the lumber down so the stock board could actually fit on the jointer. And once it fits, it sits on one of its edges. Assuming Thyial knew how to use a jointer before this, it probably would have only taken him one try to get this far. Which, by the way, we have 2 sides done and 2 to go. Sadly, however, this was his 8th try. Apparently, joiners take some practice to use, and teaching that would be out of the scope of this video, and more in the scope of that hard donkey wood, if you know what I mean. And with that, we have arrived at the planer. The planer basically mirrors the opposite side of whatever you put into it. So, you better make sure the other side is good. Otherwise, your mirror...
Thelonious. You were saying?
So, just a few swipes through the planer, and 3 out of the 4 sides are done. I guess 4 out of the 4 sides are done, thanks to that handy-dandy table saw. Now that he has successfully milled all the lumber, it's pretty much rinse and repeat. After, of course, he has cut the pieces specified in the design and make sure they're nice and square. Then, glued the pieces together using food-grade wood glue. Chip off some of the old dried glue. And then it's back to the planer. Now, some of you might be wondering how the board's going to be square after the gluing process. And I can only give you a few hints, because Dumbnuts over there forgot to hit the record button. First hint is, use the planer. Second hint, use the planer with a sled. Finally, the last step before the finishing process can begin is using this crosscut slide to rip 2 clean edges. Now, we're in the final stages. This is where the board really comes to life. Coming out of the planer, the surface is a little rough. In order to smooth that out, he's hitting it with 180 and 220 grit sandpaper. We want this to be baby booty smooth. While Thyial was doing all the grunt work, there was a little work going on behind the scene. This is what I like to call the pièce de résistance. The butter for the toast. The gravy for the taters. While Thyial would like to take credit for the design of this beautiful engraving, there was actually another creature who was responsible. We can go ahead and call her Mrs. Thyial for now. She hand drew this floral pattern and a few other designs that may go on some coasters in the near future. After the hand drawings were complete, they were uploaded to Inkscape, where a little magic took place inside the software and this laser cutter. I know what you're thinking. This is supposed to be a video for a beginner. No beginner is going to have access to these high-end tools, right? That's where you made your second mistake. If you don't know what a makerspace is yet, do yourself a favor and find out. Anyways, after a little spritz of water and a light sanding, the time has come. It's a bittersweet ending, but we all knew it would happen. And frankly, I'm just glad I don't have to talk anymore. Until next time, guys.
That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.